Hello everyone. The story I'm going to share today is Cai Wenji, a talented woman of the Han Dynasty. Cai Wenji was born in Yu County of Chenliu Commandery during the late Eastern Han Dynasty. From an early age, she was renowned for being widely learned and exceptionally talented, with a deep understanding of music. Naturally, these accomplishments were inseparable from the education and cultural influence of her family. Her father Cai Yun was a renowned writer and calligrapher of the late Eastern Han Dynasty. Cai Wenji could distinguish the sound of the qin by the age of 6. One evening, while her father was playing the qin zither and singing, one of the strings suddenly snapped. Wenji accurately identified that it was the second string that had broken. Her father thought she had merely guessed correctly by chance, so he decided to test whether she truly knew. He deliberately broke another string, and Wenji said, "This time it was the fourth string." Her judgment was completely correct. When Cai Wenji was 15 years old, her parents arranged for her to marry into an influential Wei family in Hedong. The Wei family was a distinguished lineage, and her husband was an outstanding young man, refined, graceful, and highly talented in literature. The two shared common interests and aspirations, making them a well-matched and happy couple. But their happiness was short-lived. 2 years later, her husband died of illness. At that time, the Wei family made life extremely difficult for her, treating her with harsh words every day. In the depth of grief, despair, and helplessness, she returned to her parents' home. Her parents were generous and understanding, and with the companionship of her younger sister, she spent her days studying and playing the qin. Before long, her spirits recovered considerably. Later, she married into a wealthy young family with Mount Tai. She and her husband had a son and daughter, both of whom grew up to become accomplished individuals. Their daughter, Yang Huiyu, married Sima Shi, the eldest son of Sima Yi, as his principal wife. During the reign of Emperor Xian of Han, the treacherous official Deng Zhuo was executed. Her father Cai Yun was implicated in the affair and died in prison. At this time, Cai Wenji's family had no means of support, and the whole family lived every day in fear and anxiety. Soon, lovers fought over and plundered Emperor Xian, throwing the capital into chaos. Cai Wenji was left alone and helpless, with no choice but to flee in haste. Unexpectedly, she was captured by Han soldiers. The left-worthy prince of the southern Han had always respected Cai Yun, and had long admired Wenji's talent and beauty. Therefore, he treated her with courtesy, comforted her, and persuaded her to stay there and settle down, enjoying treatment benefiting a princess consort. After a long period of contemplation, Cai Wenji finally came to terms with it. Rather than remain trapped in a difficult situation with no way out, it was better to comply with the Chinese wishes and marry the left-worthy prince as a secondary consort. Although she was not the primary consort, it was still a marriage with a proper and recognized status. Thus, she lived in the Hu region for 12 years, gave birth to 2 sons, and her eldest son was appointed crown prince. During the years when she was endured torment longing for her homeland, she composed 13 songs of nomad flute. Later, while returning to Hanland, she added 5 more sections, and together they became known as 18 songs of nomad flute. This moving melody and lyrics recount the hardships and sorrowful experiences that marked her entire life. In the 13th year of Jian'an of Emperor Xian, Cao Cao eliminated the rival lords and unified the northern realm. He honored Emperor Xian while appointing himself prime minister, reaching the highest rank a subject could attain. At this time, he learned that his teacher and old friend Cai Yun had died unjustly, and also heard that his daughter Wenji had fallen into hands of Han. He prepared to redeem her with lavish gifts, so that the legacy of Master Cai would have successor. At that time, the envoy carrying Emperor's imperial decree brought 1,000 taels of gold, a pair of jade discs, 100 bowls of fine silk, and Chancellor's House handwritten letter to the court of Southern Han on the vast grassland. Faced with Chancellor's House military might, and pleased with the generous gifts, the Chenliu agreed to release Cai Wenji, but insisted that according to the Han customs, and following the precedent of Su's return, her children could not accompany her. Cai Wenji was deeply conscious of the righteousness of the case, and was willing to endure the pain of giving up the mother-son relations in order to seek harmony between the Han Dynasty and the Han, and preserve peace forever. Wenji's return to Han territory was a long journey of 1,000 miles, filled with both joy and sorrow. After returning to Han, Cao Cao arranged for Cai Wenji to marry Dynasty, a commandant in charge of agricultural colonies. Not long after their marriage, Dynasty was falsely accused by an enemy after slaughtering a sick ox, and was sentenced to death according to the law. Upon hearing the news, Cai Wenji was extremely anxious, and without hesitation, she rushed to the prime minister's residence with her hair disheveled and her feet bare. Cao Cao sympathized greatly with her, so he sent soldiers to retrieve the documents and pardoned Dynasty. Soon Dynasty was released. After Dynasty returned, he took charge of managing the house affairs so that Wenji could focus on writing, reciting, and recording classic texts from memory, recording and copying her late father's lost works, composing poetry, and creating the melodies for the Qin zither. Cai Wenji spared no effort, relying on her extraordinary memory. She worked diligently at her desk, organizing the works into volumes and compiling them. At last, she completed the immense literary undertaking, more than 400 lost classical books and more than 400 lost poems by her late father. Her immortal contributions to preserving cultural heritage, the lyrics of 18 Qin pieces in her composition, 18 songs of nomad blood, and 2 long poems, Poem of Sorrow and Indignation, are both brilliant chapters in the treasure house of Jian literature. She truly deserves to be regarded as one of the outstanding female poets of ancient China, and one of the 4 great talented women. Thank you very much for listening to the story. More touching stories will be ready for you if you just subscribe it. Thank you again.